Hey class, all right, today what we're gonna do is we're gonna create our own color wheel here, and we are going to use crayons in the primary colors only. And the way the primary colors arrange, they form a triangle. Okay, so every other, I'm just gonna put a little bit of that color so that we could follow it. So we have red, blue, and yellow, and they naturally arrange in a triangular form, and then the secondary colors will reverse the triangle. We're also going to add in indigo and violet, okay, instead of just purple, because we have two varieties of purple with the indigo and violet. And we have these kind of curved lines and dots here so that we can make our layout. And we're just going to follow the same curve pattern. It doesn't have to be perfect. Nothing has to be perfect, ever. Okay, not with me. All right, and so we have this kind of like spiral pinwheel. Notice they're all going in the same direction. You don't want to like switch directions. Always go in the same direction with this technique, because what we're going to do is we're going to make this kind of like an op art, kind of optical illusion type art piece, and it is going to also follow cross contour. So we're going to go across the contour, making kind of curvy lines. And I like to just lay out a few curves in a direction that I like. And you could get funky with it. You could, kind of follow like this. And here's the deal, all right? We want to also give a little bit of a highlight right here. Okay, so we might not come up all the way with our curves. Start at the side and follow that curve. See, this is really easy to do when it's just the primaries. And then when we get to the secondary colors, then we're going to blend the primaries. Okay. Now you see how it's harder for me to get this to curve the other way because I'm left-handed. It's easy to make it curve this way because it's like a compass. When you're using a compass in math, you have a point, a pivot point, like your pinky here, and you could easily go over there. Now I'm ambidextrous, so I could use left and right hand, but not everybody can do that, right? So, and one hand's always going to be better than the other. So you could do this, but you could also turn your hand this way. The left hand, I need to turn this way. Turn the paper, turn your hand, turn your body, and get it to curve the other direction. All right, so now we have kind of a little bit of that cross contour, giving the illusion of depth. But then also we're going to use more application of the material the further we get into the bend, into the line where it meets up against the other color. There we go. All right, now so we used red, and here's the basic rule. We're going to do red on both sides, on the left and right. I'm going to try to do this pretty quickly. Now, while you're doing this in class, take your time. But this is a demonstration video, so I just want to go as fast as I can because I know you want to get into the artwork yourself. If you're doing this at home, maybe you're following along, and that's cool. No problem. All right, but usually in class, what I'll do is I'll do the demonstration, then we'll have a little discussion. See if anybody needs anything clarified, any clarifying questions asked. Now, when you do the blending, what you want to do, notice what I'm doing here. I'm making sure I cover the whole area after I'm done with red. Why? Because when I apply the other pigment, if I don't have at least a thin layer of this red going over the whole surface area of this section, and this is going to be purple, right? Because we're mixing the blue. Actually, we need to, when we do the purple, we need to have a little bit extra. We have another because red and yellow is orange. So actually we're going to have to cover 4 over here, whereas with the green, we'd only cover 3. I don't know if that really makes a lot of sense to you, but maybe it will in time when you see how this works. All right, so here I'm gonna do what I basically did over here, but in reverse because of time. I really want to get you guys started. So this whole section over here, I'm, like I said, applying a thin layer of that red. I was going to tell you the reason why. Here's the reason. When I add yellow to this area, if there's too much white of the paper, just virgin paper just sitting there, then what's going to happen is that yellow is really going to overpower the blend. We want to have something for the color to blend into. Okay. All right. So that said, you know, if you're in a hurry, like let's say it's the last few minutes of class, don't do what I'm doing. Like hurry to try to get it done because it's just not going to look right. Take your time. Bring it home. Come back to class. Maybe if you're in after school art, or if you're not, sign up. But you know, take your time. Try to get it as nicely as you're happy with it. You know, as long as you're happy with it, everyone else should be happy with it. And if they're not happy with it, but you still really love it, then who really cares anyways? You know, I hate saying stuff like that because I'm a teacher. I'm supposed to, you know, ask you to do what I want you to do. But really, I mean, look, if you're happy with your art, that's really all that counts. Okay. You may not get a great grade. Okay. But life isn't always all about grades. The grade is important because it gives you a basic idea of how well you're doing or if you're understanding the information. But then again, sometimes we've had people in the past, many times, that have gotten poor grades and they really understood things at a different level, right? So they were being graded on a certain criteria, and that criteria was not really thinking about their genius, their level of genius and awareness that was beyond the curriculum. Okay. But that said, I really do try to provide you with as much experience as possible and give you some tools and techniques, vocabulary, try to connect it to the language arts and mathematics as much as possible, just so that you could have a good all-around understanding. Now here what we have, this whole section is red, right? Like I said, we need an extra one because we're going to be doing indigo and violet. This is going to be my pure red right here. Okay, I'm just going to go over the whole thing again just to make it a little bit darker. And then over here, I need to go over this one with a thin application of red all over. And this is going to be my my violet because it's closer to the red. And the indigo is basically like a blue, like a bluish red. So with the indigo, we're going to do it here. We're going to do a little bit of blue here. This can be pure blue, and then over here, this is going to mix the blue and the yellow. And when you're doing this, you want to kind of talk it out to yourself, maybe in your mind, maybe out loud, you know, and just really plan it out. Make sure that you have an idea of what you're doing. Again, I'm doing my layout lines with my cross contour, curvy line technique here. I'm going to go ahead and do that all over all the places where I'm going to apply blue. And also you could use your finger and kind of just blend it together because, you know, after you apply this waxy crayon on top of the paper, or if you're using colored pencils, you can do that. Of course, with paint, you'd want to use the brush and blend with the brush. But it's all pretty much the same. We're blending. Now, sometimes, depending on your materials, you're not going to get a really great blend. So when the colors are blending together with the real cheap materials, they just kind of go over each other. They don't really blend with each other. So you're going to have to use more technique, more lines. So if you're using these lines in between the lines of red, blue lines in between the lines of red, then what happens is that when the light hits the paper and it reflects, the blue wavelength is going like this, and the red is going like this, and then they come together in a completely different combination almost to your brain, and it sees indigo, or it'll see violet or orange or whatever the two primaries frequencies are. However they're traveling, they will kind of combine and create a brand new color, even though really you're just seeing red and blue. All right, so now I'm gonna blend the yellow and the blue, and that always blends way better than these. And I'm gonna also blend the yellow with the red. Also, that usually works better, to make the oranges. Okay, so I'm gonna make the orange here. Again, I could cover the whole thing with a thin application of the yellow. Hopefully it blends well, but again, it depends on the materials that you're using. Notice that when I came across the red, it dragged some of that red in this direction. I could drag it back this way with my finger, but just play with it, have fun with it. All right, this is like science. It's like experimenting, but having fun. All right, so don't take it too seriously, but do try to understand it, because there is quite a bit going on. We have optics, like I said, with the wavelengths. We have cross contour with the illusion of depth of space. We have the blending of colors, right? Creating completely new colors. We also have geometric layout going on here, where we have the red, the blue, and the yellow are furthest away from each other, creating symmetry in the form of an equilateral triangle, really. Now, you don't really see an equilateral triangle forming on this paper, especially because we're adding indigo and violet. Now, if we combine this into purple, it would form an equilateral triangle where the primary colors are, and they can't occupy the same space. So if you were to put blue and yellow and red and just like spray it onto the paper, they can't occupy the same space. If you overlap them, they combine and create browns and even black. You could mix black with the primary colors. When you blend across the color wheel and you have blue and orange and blend those together, you actually get gray. And that goes back to the reason why is the optics. It's the physics of the light particles, the light waves. Well, every wave is made up of particles. So that gets into really quantum physics. Optics is it's all about physics of light. There you go. And again, yellow and blue. What's it make? Class? It makes green. That's right. So we're going to lay out our curved lines, making that cross contour, add more toward one side or the other